More on what's driving the demand from home buyers, even in a pandemic. Let's bring in Joe Minarik, Senior Vice President and Director of Research at the Committee for Economic Development. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, Rachelle. Good to see you.
So why do you think we've seen such an increase in home prices in the U.S., and where is that the most dramatic?
Well, your report, I believe, is on point. Among the things that are going on, number one, interest rates are down. So what that tells people is for the amount of money that I can afford, I can buy more house. Now, what happens then is the price of the house goes up because the people selling the homes see what's happening. So, as your report noted, prices are going up very quickly. It is also the case that people have, in this pandemic era, seen that the possibility for remote work is growing. The other thing, of course, that's happening is the U.S. population is aging, which means that there are folks who are retiring and may very well want to move away from where they have been living in proximity to their work because they don't need to be there anymore. So you have, at one and the same time, people seeing that they have more dollars to spend on the home because the interest rate is lower, people wanting to relocate or being able to relocate, people seeing that with remote work they have a life that can be spent away from the workplace, which
Right.
means that the home is a more attractive place to be. All those factors are contributing.
Now, we have heard those murmurs about either heading for a bubble or already being in a housing bubble, but how do the trends that we're seeing now compare to what we saw in the run-up to the housing crisis of 2008?
There is probably less speculation now in the sense of people buying multiple homes on the assumption that they could rent them or resell them. Back in the 2008 housing bubble, there was a lot of purchase of homes as investments with people who had no intention of living in them. Right now, we're seeing more people moving from one home to another, buying up, bidding up the price of homes. That is probably a more stable situation than was the speculation that we saw in the 2008 bubble.
Now, it's interesting because incomes and rents aren't keeping pace with housing prices. So what are the economic consequences, for example, on issues like inequality and even for the next generation of home buyers?
We are seeing a worsening of inequality just from the natural effects of the pandemic. The jobs that have been lost, the businesses that have been closed are generally those that involve people gathering in one place, people whose jobs are to provide services to other people. If you can't get together in groups, jobs in hospitality, in dining, in retail, in travel have been going away. And the people who have lost those jobs were people who already were at the lower end of the income scale and tended not to have skills that would enable them to move readily into new work. So the inequality result of the pandemic is very direct. And to the extent that people who are doing well are buying more expensive homes and bidding up the values of homes owned by other affluent people, that just makes the inequality spread that much worse.
So then, should there be a concerted effort to build more homes in the U.S.? And is that even the answer?
It is a very difficult hill to climb, as it were, to get more housing. The problem is, of course, land is a scarce resource. There's only so much. You can try to build more homes on pieces of land, but if you do that, of course, that requires reducing the standards for the housing, which means that in a particular neighborhood, you will have people who will be unhappy because their homes, their large homes on big lots are going to be next to homes that are smaller on smaller lots, and they fear that that's going to reduce the value of their homes. developing more land creates environmental issues and potentially issues of the aesthetics of an area where people want to have some open space around their homes. So it is always challenging to try to get more housing without getting people unhappy, because that will tend to reduce the value of the homes they already have, or because it will reduce the amount of open space and therefore, to some people, the aesthetics and the quality of life in their neighborhoods.